Welcome to Healings and Meditations with Frank Jordan and the Earth Mind Think Tank Group. We welcome all listeners and chatters. Any questions can be called in to 1-775-657-5973. 1-775-657-5973. If you're in the chat room on Wolf Spirit Radio, which is wolfspiritradio.com/wolfchat, please post questions in uppercase letters, in capital letters. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wolf Spirit Radio and the Frank Jordan and Wolf Spirit Meditation Group. Actually, it's the Earth Mind Meditation Group. And we're here one more day to work in the world affairs of weather, earthquakes, and the human consciousness that is always in an uproar of some kind. And the benefit of our gathering for these meditations, group mind meditations, is that through the extended network of Wolf Spirit Radio, we can call in and attune with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And just the focus of your attention on the program, listening to what is being said, and feeling the energies flow through you, through the group mind consciousness, not necessarily through the airways, but the group mind consciousness that we attune to, gives you the opportunity for personal healing and clearing, and to raise your frequency ranges, because the people in this meditation group have very high frequency levels, and they've done that by hours of meditation and clearing and working with their high self and oversoul. And the primary objective there is to clear their undersoul, the low self. It's the fundamental principle of consciousness ascension, that you're not allowed to go up in the frequency ranges until you've cleared down. So everyone in this group has worked with me many times in personal healing sessions and on their own and with other teachers, and they have clarity. We can't stress clarity enough. And clarity is just a simple, wonderful ability to detect within yourself, or with the work of someone else, detect it, where you have patterns and forms stored in your system. And we're just living biocomputers. Everything, every experience, every interactivity we've ever had is patterned into our body. And just a moment while I catch this. Now, aggravation. Now we have to get back in the flow again. Attunement not only to our own body systems and clarity, the open clarity in the lateral plane. Oh God, pardon me.
Someday Frank's going to have a show and not get a phone call.
Someday. But not today. Everyone step back now into the vertical flow, as I call it, pulling your awareness back from this lateral plane where all the distractions are and the confusions. And the distractions being also tools of the opposition force to keep you from being internal and focused. So step back into the center flow, reach back up. And to do that, it's a feeling of just centering within yourself, through the heart center and up through your crown chakra and down through your root chakra. This pulling together is focusing all of your concentration and attention on yourself. And where we were going with that train of thought is that this is how you read your own systems. When something outside of you is bothering you, pressing at you, pushing at you, drawing your conscious attention, then it's usually because you have something patterned inside yourself, some kind of a program that's responsive to that type of thing. And so go within, follow the irritation within, detect that program and clear it out, push it out with the clearing the way techniques. The clearing the way techniques are incredibly simple, and they are so simple they've been overlooked for thousands of years by the psychiatrists and the teachers and everything else. They expect everything to be complicated. And the fact is that our systems are extremely beautifully intricate and simple once you understand how they work. There's nothing complicated about a thought form or a pattern within your system. It's just like you have your own internal recording device that in the chakra system that records everything that happens around you. And it does this so you have a foundation of experiences to continually draw on to do your everyday reality and your evolutionary process. And evolution is what it's all about, growth of consciousness. And so when you have these patterns and programs and just can't seem to go vertically up into the high self, the oversoul, when you try to go up into the light, it's because you have to clear down. You're not allowed to go up until you clear down into the low self. And that low self is a separate consciousness. It is our animal consciousness. It is a primitive animal consciousness, actually an indwelling soul within us that evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. And it reincarnates through the family flow, the genetic flow of a line of genes. And so it sticks in its reincarnations pretty close to the family flows. But always as you're clearing downward, think about any traumas you've had in the past, anything that would be a threat to your survival or daily reality or daily routine. And the low self holds all of these, and it uses it as a warning system. So if anything triggers it, it has a reaction to it. It knows how to either block the situation or deal with it from experience. And so by clearing those out, you take the stress away from the low self of being constantly on alert, watching for everything that goes on around it. And when it detects the stress, it throws it up through the subtle energy system to your brain, and it reflects in you as something bothering you until you put your point of attention on that stress and work with it and deal with it. The subconscious, the low self, continually throws it up to you again and again and again. So the clue to clearing stress is to go into your low self, into the solar plexus for the everyday reality things, detect there what you haven't dealt with, something that you've been working with in your businesses, your families, your relationships, your everyday reality. And if you don't bring those progressions of consciousness, those experiences to conclusion and close them, literally release that stress, then the low self holds on to it. And this is why businessmen have so many ulcers and things, because the stress of holding on to all of these unresolved things creates illness within our systems. If these are emotional stresses you're experiencing, then it can upset your heart, your lungs, and things above the 0 point in the heart also. So it's up to you to monitor your own reality. Become aware, consciously aware at all times of keeping yourself clear of things that are intruding, keeping your shields up, which just simply means strengthening your aura with resolve and intent to block out unnecessary stresses and things, or things that would normally call your attention, but things that aren't necessary to your everyday reality. So we're a work in progress constantly, and the more we realize that, the more we become self-aware and self-monitoring. You become your own doctor, your own philosopher, your own psychiatrist, your own guru. It's all through that study of inner self and recognizing those subtle things that come in as they come into the chakra system and rise on up for attention to the conscious mind. But the conscious mind is incredible, the frontal lobes of your brain, and it can only hold one subject at a time. One subject of whatever you happen to be thinking about or what triggers your thinking or draws your attention. And when you're aware of that, you focus on what the problem is, and you feel in your body where you have that pattern stored, or you feel the vibraport that warning is coming through from your psychic center. And when you realize that, you simply drop your point of attention, part of it, down to that wherever you feel it in your body, and you push it out. You deprogram it, you clear it. And literally, when you're doing that, you're clearing the stress, and you're clearing the cause of mental, emotional problems, even spiritual problems that accumulate long enough, if the stress is not cleared, to dis-ease in the body, where it's a constant stress. And that interrupts your natural physiological inner healer who recognizes things like this also and normally clears it. But if it can't clear it, particularly if there's enough energy, a shock or trauma associated with it, then it can accumulate and cause the diseases. This is why anymore, when I do a healing, the very first thing I do is read the person and read where they have these things stored in their systems. And it's not hard. It's called clairsentience. You just simply focus your attention, all the chakras, attention on the person, and tune into them, literally become them and look out their eyes. And when you do that thing of turning around within them and looking out their eyes, your point of attention is no longer on your own body, but it's on theirs, and you can feel. You feel everything in their system. And after you have clarity yourself, so your own stuff's not interfering, it's just like people become a wide open book. And you can run your awareness down through the chakras and pick out exactly where things are stored. And with experience, and with the Clearing Way book and the negate lists that are in the book to tell you where to look for certain things, you come to the realization that every frequency range stores in an exact spot within the body. It's just a hard disk. And so once you have an experience and store it in your system, anything of a similar experience is stored in the same place. So repetition shocks or traumas or relationship issues and things like that always stored in the same place. And it's quite easy to detect these, you healers, and clear them. The necessity of clearing them before you attempt to do healing is that it's just like trying to swim upstream. The faster you paddle your boat, the further down the stream you go. And so once you reverse the flow of the stream, you hardly have to paddle at all. And so this is just some inner awareness, and Stephen has some more information for you today too that comes through because of working with the person that it brought up an awareness of something that I've used many, many times, and I was working with a recent client who's really focused on doing his clearing work and ascension to higher consciousness. And he was doing a beautiful job, but he just seemed to have a resistance around him, like a fog that no matter how clear, how focused he would get. And I'd be reading him too, and I knew he'd attend to higher ranges. But as soon as he dropped his awareness back into his body, this stuff would close in around him. And then I realized, when he asked me to look at whatever that situation was, that what the job he had was he owned a collection agency. So every time he reached out and touched someone who owed money, their resentment, their fear poured back into him. And it created a morphogenic field that would not allow him to break loose and go into the light. So with self-determination, he decided to release that business. And it means enough to him to ascend that he's progressing to do that. And he won't have any more problem with this field of negativity that's created around him. It just won't affect him anymore. And he's a wonderful healer, and he's going to do wonderful work. But you have to live in an environment, a positive environment, that's not only beneficial to you in the rewards of your work, but it can be rewarding and beneficial to others also. If you live in negativity, you're going to express negativity, even though he himself was a beautiful soul. And the way to clear something like that, which just seems like an oppressive fog you just can't get through and release, is by working right in the 0 point. And what you do is you take the awareness of the fog or the opposition force, whatever's attacking you, into the 0 point. And on the left and the back, you feel the pressure of that thing coming through to the 0 point where it collapses, and then it reconstitutes in the next standing wave in your future. And sometimes these things have so much energy, so much power, they just won't collapse. They just push right on through. But this is the way to do it. And I'd recommend that you do this yourself now to get the experience. Think about some negative thing that's in your life or has been in your life in the past that you just can't get away from. It just keeps coming back again and again. I just bring that up in your conscious mind and feel where it's stored in your body, and take your awareness to the 0 point along with that energy field that's coming from where it's stored or from the morphogenic field. Go deep into the 0 point. In the 0 point, when the wave collapses that's holding the negative form, you focus on that wave. And it only is there because you have your attention on it. Now take your point of attention away from the wave. Draw it back in yourself. Draw your attention back in yourself to the degree that the thing no longer exists. And this is an amazing thing. It's really hard to forget something. If you ever tried to forget something, you know how difficult it is. But in this manner, what you do is you simply take your point of attention away from it with the intent of releasing it. Take your point away from it, and deep within yourself you come to the self-realization. This can only exist if I hold its form. I take that point away, and within yourself, this does not exist. This does not exist. And then take your point of attention away from the affirmation it doesn't exist. And this is very hard to do. But when you do it, when you learn how to, just that subtle point within you in the 0 point that remanifests things, when you take your energy form away from it, your attention, it just disappears to the point that when you come back and recreate your reality, you can't even remember what it was you were working with. Because when you collapse that standing wave, you collapse it all the way back in the past also. So that's a very simple trick that Stephen has brought to you today. Another way of becoming the master of your reality instead of being subjective to it. And with that comes the realization that you've heard it said many times that everything around us in form is held by our consciousness. And this is a demonstration of the fact that that's utterly true. And the better you can get at this, the more you can clear your negative reality. And as you turn to the future, create a positive reality and just project it forward in your mind. Because the subconscious mind and spirit is incredibly literal. It believes anything you visualize or imagine or fantasize. So this is a place where you want to really watch your fantasy world, because what you're creating becomes a reality in some dimension. All right. Now with that delivered, let's take our awareness to our work. Pardon me, we have to shift here a little. We're going to go to Earth Mind, and later on, as we proceed, we're going to use that it doesn't exist principle, and we'll try to use it today with the group mind. So take your awareness now up in your forehead, move right straight back into the soul center. And any of you out there, when you take that first step back out of the frontal lobes into the soul center, if you feel a kind of resistance, a bright light there, that's some religious organization that has baptized you at some point in the past. That sign of the cross they put on the forehead is taking your personal power away from you. And so they have literally possession of your soul. So release that, release any religion, go to them and tell them you want to have your own path to God, and totally release those energies. And you'll be surprised at how it frees up your psychic skills and your direct access to God. Now move on back deeper into the soul center and just feel that lateral touching into the soul consciousness of the group mind conscious of all humans. And know that we have power here, because this is what holds the reality in form by communicating with the spirit center in the heart. Now move on back deeper into the pineal gland area, and here you're in the psychic realm. Communication through the chakra systems is through this lateral plane of consciousness, and it literally is the subconscious mind. So when you're working, step back one step further and feel the expansion down through your body of the subconscious mind through the chakra system. And when you're working in this area, you're working in the physical form of reality out here and the communication systems of all living things through DNA. And now just for the experience, step back a step further and you step into nothingness. There is nothing there. It is just a void of nothing. But there's incredible matter, unorganized energy in that void, which extends through the entire universe. Now that is the realm of the subtle energy systems that holds everything form, and this is the active consciousness, where the creative consciousness of God resonates forward into the subconscious mind from the subtle energy system with the desire and will and intent of creating manifestation and physical reality. So it's working in the subtle energy system is how you work with the physical forms through the polarities of the positive and negative polarity of oversoul, male principle, and undersoul, low self, female principle. But we won't dwell on that too much today. Now drop your awareness down the spine, through this chakra system, touch in at the heart center. And this is like saying hello to spirit, because this is where your indwelling spirit lives, is that point of God force consciousness within you. And just say hello and drop on down the spine to the root chakra, and then down into the third octave, the female polarity, the negative polarity of earth mind. And here is how we access the Devic forces of consciousness that actually hold the form of the reality as created by the female polarity, responding to desire and will from oversoul, the male polarity. It's like he sends down the spark of life to the female. It's just like getting pregnant. Without both, you can't have any creation. I just feel earth mind, this is where you work with the physical reality. And through the 0 point. Now take your awareness to Southern California, and we'll go into the earth mind, into the earthquake grid. Now, in this level of consciousness, you're in communication with the devic forces that hold the form and everything that happens. But we're interested in the earthquake grid because there's tremendous amounts of energy released here constantly. And it doesn't necessarily be negative to us until it gets over a 5 point level. So what we do is release the excess energy off the earthquake grid so it doesn't get to those higher ranges. Thus we prevent earthquakes. So lift the energy up your spine. Right out through the crown chakra. Right out into the ionosphere where we've created a golden grid. It's like a morphogenic field of energy around the earth to protect earth. And energy always holds its form until acted upon by consciousness or another force of energy. So our consciousness is creating this golden grid. Remember, what we think about becomes a reality in some dimension. So just pull the energy up from the Southern California, in Arizona, and the Mexican border area, along the San Andreas fault line there. Feel that flow up through your system into the grid where we put our intent to protect the earth from solar rays that could be harmful, gamma rays, solar flares. And it even has the capacity of bouncing meteoroids off. Now, this feeling you're feeling at this point, you're in the group mind consciousness. You feel that extended awareness. Your frontal brain is shut off. You're totally in this expanded state of consciousness where you have the power to communicate and work through the subtle energy field into the physical realm to alter and create or de-manifest things. So move your awareness now up the San Andreas Fault to San Diego. And as you gently move your awareness northward along that fault line, you can feel other minor faults out to the side. Pick the energy up off of those. Right on up to San Francisco. And we pass the Garlock Fault there to the right that runs over to the base of the Rocky Mountains. But come on up now through San Francisco to the Loma Prieta, the Hayward Fault, on up to where the San Andreas veers out into the ocean. When it hits the San Juan de Fuca Plate, carry that energy all upward from the Oregon line. And now shift your awareness eastward across California to the Sierra Nevada mountains that run the full length of eastern California, down to the Garlock Fault that runs through to Las Vegas, and then northward in the subduction zone of the plate that's creating the Rocky Mountains, all the way up to the Yellowstone, and open up and feel the Yellowstone caldera. Tremendous amount of energy. And this is kind of a static energy. It's just there as potential. But you feel the pressure, and that pressure releases. That's when the mega volcanic activity occurs. We ought to clear that energy upward, up the spine. Normally this is released through the geysers, and there has been increased activity in the geysers lately. So bring them back to their normal state. We're working directly with the divas that hold that whole thing in balance there. Now move northward, up through Wyoming to the Canadian line, again following the Rocky Mountains. And then shift westward to the Pacific Northwest, where again the subduction plate is creating minor activity through the ancient volcanoes of the Cascade Range. Lift that energy upward and feel the pressure of that plate as it presses inward. And what we do is lubricate it with our minds. We will it to be lubricated and moving smoothly all the way down to the California line. So it does not catch and build up and become a disastrous earthquake and tsunami. Now move your awareness on northward to Alaska and the multitude of small earthquakes through that entire region. And here again, we've been very successful in holding the magnitude of these down. So just imagine those are like little popcorns, kernels popping all over through that south central region of Alaska, which is an extensive subduction zone. Just let the little popcorn kernels pop and that energy flow up the spine. Now take your awareness down the Aleutian chain. There is one major earthquake. It's a 6.1 at northwest of Amukta Island in Alaska. Release that. Generally, the Aleutians have calmed down pretty much. Then move eastward to Russia, the Kamchatka Trench, Follow it southward to Japan, where we have ongoing minor activity. 3 points. Release that steadily. And use that energy, wrap the earthquake and volcanic energy there around. The energy being released from the reactors. Will that to transmute into beneficial energy as it's carried into the golden grid. Releasing the potential, clearing the potential of destruction to living things. And take your awareness on southward, the East China Sea, to Nago, Japan. There's a 5.5 there. Actually, it's a 6.5. Which could be felt as potential causing tsunamis. Move on southward to the Philippines, the ongoing subduction zones along the Philippine plate, causing volcanoes, release the energy through the ancient volcanoes, even in the seamounts. Move on southward to Indonesia and the Indonesian crescent. Only minor activity there at the present time. And move to New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, on down to Vanuatu. There's a 6.3 at Sola, Vanuatu. That's underwater, which could cause tsunamis. Then on eastward to the Tonga Trench, scattered subduction activity and volcanic activity. On down to New Zealand. The Kermadec Trench that runs through this across New Zealand and from the east to the west and down to the Arctic. Clear the stress off of that so New Zealand does not have a destructive earthquake. Now move eastward to South America and Chile. There's a lot of activity in Chile, San Antonio, Chile. Subduction zone activity along the coast. Along the Peru-Chile trench. Reaching all the way up to Peru. Move northward to Central America. Activity intensifying at 6.2. West of Hickorio. Then move eastward to Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Always a scattering of mid to small range activity there. Come back eastward, across the mid-Atlantic range, some activity on the main plates there. Go to the Mediterranean, some activity around Athens, Greece, Lasuria, and that volcanic activity that keeps reoccurring in the same place. We'll eastward to Turkey, at Karatyas, Turkey, to northern Afghanistan, China seems to be fairly calm today. I'll move back across the northern Pacific back to our point of beginning. Where we reach into the central states, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and the new Madrid fault has some activity. Release that energy upward. Now come back to our point of beginning. And we release Earth mind. Bring our awareness back up now to the surface of the Earth and the group mind consciousness of all humans. Just open up to the group mind consciousness of humans, realizing that they are driven in domination from patterns, patterned into Earth mind from the past. We want to take our point of attention to the frequency ranges it has to do with the financial structure of the world as it evolved in domination over the thousands of years. Just put your awareness on the banking system and how it is created ultimately to accumulate through usury, eventually all the assets of the world. And it's true that 5% of the world population owns 95% of all currencies or physical assets in the world. I want to focus on that system, that program that evolved and is held through the religions and financial structures, the educational system. And we realize this is a massive force because of the economic strength that is given to the power of the dollar or the medium of exchange, no matter what it is. Now feel that in your upper chest and up through your throat, the power of that, and how we've been made subjective to that. Slaves to the dollar, slaves to the system. Now take your awareness to the 0 point. This is Earth mind 0 point, the 0 point of Earth itself. It holds the form of all this reality. We're going to do exactly the same thing that we did earlier when you cleared something of your own system. By being in the 0 point, feeling the pressure of that system in Earth mind and in the standing waves of the past, and in the educational institutions, the financial institutions, the power in the government institutions, religious institutions, and it has a negative purpose of being created Now we want to focus not on the institutions themselves, but on the 0 point, and just feel the institutions on your left side and on your back as they crowd into the 0 point and on through into the future. In the 0 point now, in the 0 point, put your point of attention on those things of the past and the negative structure, and it just doesn't exist. Let it collapse in the standing wave and remain collapsed in the 0 point. It just doesn't exist. And feel it dissolve away as you focus in the moment of now and the collapse of the standing wave, and we don't recreate it. Now we project this into the future, so that in the future this will continue to collapse the monetary system as it exists now, with the Federal Reserve and all the monetary powers and controllers and the banks. And in the 0 point, as we feel that collapse away, and it is, it's weakening, turn your point of attention to the future now, realizing we do need a monetary system of exchange, and what we are visualizing, creating in the future standing waves, is a system that exists in dominion, that empowers, enhances all the goods and well-being of the people. Now again, you feel the standing wave of the past pushing at you. As you look forward, it just does not exist in the past any longer. It's a new system. A new system that's coming into form. The positive minds are trying to create this against great resistance. So we pull the power of all the positive minds and all of the people into releasing the standing waves of the past and creating the positive form of the future. It just doesn't exist. Now we take our attention away from it as we focus into the future and how wonderful dominion can be. And that past simply does not exist. And we realize it'll be a progressive thing. But as long as we stay focused on the future with our manifestation capacity and our desire and will in dominion, it is happening now. And we have the empowerment of the galactic flow to help us in this, to feel your hands tingle as the galactic flow empowers the wave, the standing wave of our future dominion reality with unconditional love. And we send unconditional love to the past, to those who are so immersed in domination they can't conceive a world of dominion. So we use this wave of unconditional love to break down their fixation on negativity and control and power, and we forgive them. Ho'oponopono. 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 And so it is. Now bring your awareness back to your own reality, releasing all that we have manifested and brought into creation. Turning our hearts and our heads to the future. Come back into your own reality. Move your awareness back up the spine now into the present reality. Through your soul center and out into your frontal lobes. Feel yourself in a world of abundance, in dominion. And as you bring your attention back, you're stepping into this world now. And the pressure of the old domination forces is receding away from earth mind, from the standing waves, from the banks, religious institutions and governments. And we forget them. They do not exist. They do not exist. It resonates out into the golden grid, so the entire world is surrounded in dominion. Dominion being that natural state of consciousness where all living things nurture and empower each other. This is the evolutionary life force consciousness of God. Now it's interesting just holding this point to just feel how much, without putting our attention on it too deeply, because we don't want to call it back into form, how much has diminished in the domination fields now. Because money was the power that allowed them to control. Money and fear. We fear them no more. So come back now into full reality and open your eyes, and Dave, we're back.
Pardon me, I was packing up a computer.
All right, did any of the members of the Earth Mind Think Tank group, do you have any comment about what we just did?
You did well.
That felt good.
That was an interesting meditation, to say the least.
Very, very powerful, and it just went through everything.
And it still is.
And it still is. It's resonating out and out and out.
What I'm feeling, it's interesting, when we created the web the other day and put our intent in it, we set that standard up, and that is still working. Everything we did today is resonating right out through the internet to every person on Earth. So we're becoming more powerful as we realize how things work.
They work in ways we can't even begin to imagine.
And in love with Ho'oponopono.
Explain that for the benefit of those who may not understand that.
It's the Shoot. Okay,
You feel a part of yourself that you created in them that relates to you. If you cure them, you cure yourself, or vice versa.
and you're giving love, you're giving thanks, you're giving forgiveness, and that lets everything release and be.
There's tremendous force.
So you say, I'm sorry. It's just to remember to say, I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, and thank you.
And that's the wave of consciousness, because every time someone repeats it out there, they reinforce that. And I feel that rolling around the world too.
It's the core of dominion.
There it is.
The loving, the acceptance. The allowing to change.
And feel the difference. Look to the future and know that difference is resonating into the future and around the world, and the dominion is now.
Believe and know that it is.
All through this I was going, and so it is, and so it is.
We have about 1 minute left.
Okay, we'll take advantage of that to thank you, Dave, for your wonderful services.
Well, I really appreciate having this platform, Frank. And this station was a gift to me from the Creator.
Absolutely, into the world.
And I'll see you Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah, and we'll see what Stephen has for us then. All right, goodbye, everyone. We love you.